What is up, YouTube? Northeast Ohio here. Before we get started, I just wanted to give you guys a quick little thanks. We blew through 1,500 subs, and we are well on our way to the big old 2K. So if you're not subbed, click the sub button. Cool. The other thing I want to thank you guys for is on the week in review video this past Sunday. You guys killed it with smashing the like buttons. So let's do that again. I'm trying not to talk about the YouTube nonsense too much, but I see why everybody does, because I mentioned at the beginning, everyone smash the like button. So smash the like button. All right, on to the show. So today we're going to talk about the NBA, obviously, because that's the primary focus of the channel. And we're going to shift gears a little bit because we talk about this quite frequently. But for you guys out there that hate Prizm and want to know why it's all everyone talks about, this is the video for you, because like I did about a month or so ago, we talked about Select specifically. And today we are going to talk about my favorite of the mainstream sets. And that is Optic. For those unfamiliar with Optic, it is a higher version of Donruss, essentially. It is not paper. It is chrome cards. They are typically white bordered, often look a lot like, well, not always white bordered, but they'll look a lot like this jaw here. The most recent 2 years had all white borders. The big thing that they have as the claim to fame is, and this is the reason that I like it, because I'm an old schooler, the rated rookie logo. I am a sucker for that rated rookie logo. The other thing they have going for them are not extremely low, but much lower pop counts to Prizm. So there are essentially now 4 main sets. There's Prizm, which is king. There's Optic, which is its prince. And then I'm going to run out of the metaphors. There is also Select, and now Mosaic seems to be a legit player to some regard. Obviously, you have your super high-end products, your national treasures, your flawlesses, your immaculates, and a host of other nonsense. For most of us, those are the only 4 products that matter: Prizm, Optic, Select, Mosaic. If you are new to the game and you are buying cards, buying wax, buying singles to invest in, flip, whatever, 95% of the time, I'm going to recommend you stick to one of those 4. So say it with me: Prizm, Optic, Select, and Mosaic. Unless, you have a lot better job than I do and you can afford NT, Flawless, Immaculate, etc. And don't get me wrong, there is money to be made on the hoops, the Donruss, etc., etc. But if you are new to this game, stick with the core 4. You can't go wrong with those for the most part. Obviously, you still got to pick the right player, market conditions, all that shenanigans. So today we are going to specifically go in and I'm going to show some Optic cards that I think are essentially too cheap. We should be buying now with the rapid approaching NBA season, most likely going to start before Christmas or right at Christmas. Word is the players are pushing back a little bit on that. They want MLK Day. NBA wants Christmas. Either way, we are not far away. And we're a couple weeks away from the draft. And then from everything, what everyone's saying is free agency is going to start immediately after that. So then trades, whatever. And if anyone knows the NBA, the most popular time of the year is transaction season. Twitter's ablaze. Everyone's freaking out. And I assume the card market's going to follow right with that. Someone gets traded, shifts the value of a team. Prices are going to go nuts. So let's look at some Optic cards. First up to bat, and we're going to start on a little bit lower end, just so everyone can get in on this picnic. Let's look at MPJ. And I went with not his base. I went with his Blue Velocity, which is this cool looking laser beam guy, and his Optic Shock. Now, I will warn you on the Optic Shocks, watch out for print lines with any Optic. 2018, 2019, 2017, doesn't matter. Watch out for print lines. They're terrible on the Shocks. If you can get one without a print line, you still have to worry about centering, but keep your eye out for print lines. You'll see it on the Blue Velocities too, but not as much. These are the two more common parallels. I personally really liked Blue Velocity. And what I'm going to base a lot of this stuff on is, you can see we're in Market Movers again. And if you're interested in Market Movers, link below, 20% off coupon below. It is NEO, NEO, links in the description. So I have these charts blown way back to basically the end of June, early July, all the way up until today. So you're going to see, everything's rising on up. And then the bubble came, and both the market bubble and the actual NBA bubble in Florida came and went. And then you see the prices went back down again, et cetera, et cetera. So we know that these cards have the potential to get back to bubble prices. They were there once, they could get back there, assuming the player plays well again. And that's not even counting that it could blow through that. Michael Porter Jr., who is our first candidate here, is a perfect example. He is probably going to have an increased role depending on what they do with Paul Millsap. If they get rid of Paul Millsap, he is going to have a massive role. If they keep Paul Millsap, they'll be forced to use them more than what they did because of just what he showed in the playoffs. But I don't know if they're going to keep Millsap. So if that happens, that could be something that could cause an immediate rise in his prices without him even touching the ball. So these two, his velocity and his shocks, are currently going for under $30. So I wanted to start out with something everybody could afford. But you can see these regularly sold for around $60 for almost 3 solid weeks. 2 to 3 solid weeks. And I could easily see this card getting back up there. So for around a $30, each investment, pick whichever one you like the best or whichever one you could find the best of. And you could take it a step further. If you want to go for his base card, go for his base card. That's cool too. Mostly what we're going to talk about today is base cards. But yeah, for $30, I can easily see these cards getting back to 60, assuming he plays and plays relatively well. Or I could potentially see it getting back to 50 before the season even starts. And you could sell it without him even touching the floor. Michael Porter Jr. is super buzzy. He has a couple good games or he gets any hype at all. Millsap gets traded. Price is going to shoot up. Next, we're going to jump all over here. This is I've talked about this card a ton. I still think this is one of my favorite optics to buy. And that is the Ben Simmons PSA 10. This card was cruising. This was all the way up to almost $270. And then he got a very minor knee injury and the Sixers fell apart and it tanked. It dropped all the way down to 140 and within varying degrees has basically been around 140 ever since it flattened out back in August. August 9th, it dropped to 137. And you can see it's gone up above that. It's gone below that, but it's basically stayed almost directly on that 140 line with some deals to be had in between. I can easily see this card getting back up above 200, if not all the way back up to around 250. Even if you go pre the bubble, quote unquote, starting, this was a 180, 175 ish card. You can see here 180 all the way back in early July before the NBA market inflated. They got Daryl Morey now. Maybe he gets traded. There's already rumors of that flying around. Who knows? Maybe Morey teaches them how to shoot a 3. Who knows? But here's the other thing. Look at the pop count on this. Only 1,300. We talk about Luka. We talk about Zion. Their Prizm pop counts are in the tens of thousands. I think Zion's like 13,000 now and Luka's like 12,000 or something. I don't remember. I should have pulled them up for this video. Optic pop counts are much lower. So if you're a big pop count guy, look for the Optic. Also cheaper price point. You could get into it a little bit easier. I'm not going to talk particularly about any individual PSA 9s, but as we've talked about in previous videos, don't sleep on PSA 9s. So if you see PSA 9s of this stuff, if that's your budget, don't hesitate to get it on the PSA 9. If you can't afford the 10, go for a 9. Go for 2 9s. Go for 3 9s, depending on the price. So Ben Simmons is next, and I think this one has the easiest time getting back up to where it's previous glory without much effort. Next, another personal favorite, Tatum. This card is currently going for around 250 to 260, 265. At the peak of its powers, this was a $400 card for almost a month straight, if not over a month. Pretty much a good portion of the month of August, 380 all the way to 380. That's 360. That was from August 7th all the way to about what are we at here? September 4th. So almost a full month. This was a $400 card. Guess what, guys? Tatum's one of the best young superstars in the league. The pop count on this card is sub 2,000. I can easily see this getting back up to $400. At anything sub 300, really, I think this is a good pickup. And I think this card easily gets back up to that price. Maybe it's not at the start of the season. Maybe it's closer to the playoffs. But I don't see him not playing well, and I don't see the price for this card absolutely flying up the board as it goes. And once again, the lower pop count that you pop count guys love. Next, this is extremely low pop count one. Shy, good old SGA. Him, and I don't have this pulled up because he's not in market movers for his base. And you could actually go with some other cards for him. SGA, and specifically, I'm rapidly growing on to trying to pick up as much Darius Bazley as I possibly can. Both guys for the same reasons. Odds are Thunder are going full rebuild. Billy Donovan, gone. Most likely, CP3, going to get traded. Gallinari, probably gone. Maybe Steven Adams, maybe Dennis Schroeder. They're not trading SGA, and they're not going to trade Darius Bazley. Those are the two future building blocks of the team, which means they're going to get all the minutes and they're going to get all the shots. SGA, he looked poor in the playoffs, but in the regular season, he was great. I can easily see SGA stuff getting super buzzy if he's getting 32 to 38 minutes a game. And if Darius Bazley gets a starting position, the dude is going to put up massive scoring numbers. That is what he does. Go look at his box scores from the scrimmages and from the early bubble games where he was getting some run because they had some injuries. He put up really nice numbers. I would not hesitate to get in on either one of these guys. The second CP3 gets traded, the pearly gates are going to open for SGA's usage rate. And usage means stats. Stats means prices, usually. Guys score, guys put up triple doubles left and right. Their prices typically go up. And Bazley is super cheap right now. And this SGA is cheap too. These are going for a little over 135 to 140. I saw someone buy it now for 145, even up to 145. I think it's fine. Once again, we go back to the month of August. This was almost a $200 card. 180, 190, 203, 195, 190. So high 100s all day long, and we're sitting at around 130, 140. I can easily see it getting back up to that $200 price point with him getting a boatload of playing time. And once again, include Darius Bazley across the board. I've been buying his Prizms. I've been looking for his optics. I already got quite a bit of his stuff because I ripped a lot of 2019 product, but I really like the Young Thunder guys. Next, and the next couple are fairly obvious ones, but it just kind of goes to show where these prices can get back to for these guys and where you can get in at now, and that's Ja. So once again, we talk about John Zion's pop counts. His pop count on his PSA 10 optic is only 2,400. Figure, it gets up to almost 3,000 with all the stuff sitting at PSA or whatever. These are around $200 right now. During the Grizzlies' run to potentially make the playoffs, this was a $300 to $375 card. It peaked at $370, and it was regularly selling for around $350. Multiple days of it selling around $350 to $325. This card will easily get back over 300 if Ja plays even remotely well. He is so popular, and he is set up to succeed with that young team. And I can easily see this card getting back up over 300 to, if not 350 to 4. I can easily see this card setting all-time highs for this upcoming season. Once again, Optic gets forgotten about. It gets pulled along the coattails of Prizm, but there's still plenty of money to be made with it. And once again, you have the lower pop counts that makes it a little bit more appealing to a lot of people. Let's look at Zion. Zion's pop count, 3,200. Maybe this gets up to 4,000. That's like a quarter of his Prizm. And optics are tough grades. You have 4 white borders and you have a chrome finish, and they do dent really easily. The surfaces on these can get messed up. And the 4 white borders are a pain to grade sometimes for centering purposes. Now, I'm not the biggest Zion guy in the world, but this card's currently going for 225. Let's say 230, 240. You add a little bit in depending on the daily fluctuations, but you could see it's been trending down a little bit lately. It got up to around 250. Really, anything sub 250 to me is at least worth looking at. And if you could get it closer to 230, that's even better. But prior to Zion blowing a tire in the bubble, this card, once again, was all the way up to 350 plus. Even crept above 400 or right at 400 for a hot minute. In the lead up to this coming season, even if you don't believe in Zion, buy a couple, hold them, and sell them right as the season starts. Maybe you leave some money on the table because he goes crazy. All you need is one Pelicans tweet of him looking like Bane, and his prices are going to go crazy because whether you like him or not, whether I like him or not, the masses like him. A large percentage of people really like Zion. And this is a much lower pop count compared to his Prizm card. Once again, everyone talks about Prizm. Prizm is not everything, myself included. I use Prizm examples left and right because they drive the market. So it's the lowest common denominator. There are other options out there. We've talked about Select, and now we're talking about Optic. Trae Young. We just did the Trae Young video last week. I think that was. I did the Trae Young video. His PSA 10 Optic. Look at the pop count on this thing. Under 1,000. This is currently going for around 240 to 250. At its peak, when he wasn't even playing, this got up over 350. Now, his prices went up because the entire NBA market went up. We talked about this in the Trae Young video. What's going to happen when Trae Young is dropping 30 to 40 points a night like he tends to do? He's a DFS monster. He's a highlight reel, and everyone loves Trae. He puts up monster numbers, and that drives the market. And they're a young, trendy team. They could make some moves. They could potentially be hunting for a playoff spot. I'm looking to buy all the Trae Young I could get my hands on that my PayPal balance will let me afford. And I really like his optic. I have a bunch of his raws. I bought a bunch raw last year that I've been sitting on. I picked up a few more. I have some out at PSA. I have a PSA 9 that I bought last year. But I'm really big on Trae in general, and I really like his optic. And once again, blow this out, guys. Look at his PSA 9s. Look at the optic variations. We did that the Trae video last week that I went into a little bit more in depth specifically on Trae. Last but not least, the king of the courts, the king of the basketball markets, good old Luka. Luka, and this is going to be a little more expensive one. And full disclosure, I have at least 3 of these graded, 2 PSA 10s, an SGC 10, and at least a couple raws floating around. I love this card. I just like the way the blue jersey looks on the blue accents with the rated rookie logo, the smoky gray background, the photo, the white border, everything. This is probably my favorite Luka rookie. I would love one in a hollow, just can't afford it right now. Maybe one day. But you can see right now this card's sitting at around $650. At its peak, this card cracked $1,000. And I think this card easily gets back to $1,000. It might not be at the start of the season. It could be closer towards the playoffs. As long as he stays healthy, he is going to be an MVP frontrunner this year. And this is not even counting if they make any crazy ass moves for this season. If KP is healthy, the unicorn, and if they can swing something, and I personally, Luka to me is not a flip. Luka is the one guy, not the one guy, there's a couple, but he's the main guy that I buy and it goes on the desk or in the back of the storage box and it doesn't get touched. At some point in time, would I sell one off? Maybe. At some point in time, you're going to sell everything, but I do believe that Luka is a massive long-term hold. If it gets high enough, I may sell off one of my Optic PSA 10s because honestly, for what I paid for them, I bought them early. I could sell one off and basically pay for almost all my other Luka stuff. So then I'm free rolling Luka essentially. So there's a chance maybe I would move a PSA 10 in the playoffs, or if he wins the MVP or something, just to kind of at least cash one out at a high value and a nice return, just in case something crazy happens. But and I know this is an expensive one, looking at around 650. But if you have the money, put it in the Luka. And once again, look at the pop count, guys. 2,800. His Prizm. Let's look at his Prizm real quick. I did not plan on doing this, but we will do it live. Optic Prizm. And let's just look at the base. Base. PSA 10. Search. And their pop counts aren't like 100% up to date, but they're close enough to give you an idea. Luka Prizm pop count almost 14,000. We're at 13,822. Optic 2,789. Yes, please. Yes, please. Also, personally, I just think it's a better looking card. I like the photo here. I just 18 Prizm. I don't know. It's all right, but to me, this is just a much better looking card if we're talking long term hold. And his Prizm is 1,400 right now. But Optic Luka PSA 10 if you got the money laying around. That's all I have for you guys today. Obviously, look for whatever players you want to invest in, but don't forget about Optic. I prefer Optic graded to Optic raw. I know I gave the MPJ example at the beginning, but in general, if you're buying Optic, I would look to buy graded PSA 9s, PSA 10s, even BGS 9.5s, whatever. But I would look to buy graded. They're tricky on centering, and they're tricky on surface, and they're tricky on print lines if you look at variations. So if you're not good at eyeballing that stuff, just buy them raw. If you can't afford the 10s, look at the 9s. Look at BGS 9.5s. So once again, like, comment, sub, all the YouTube nonsense down below. Let's get the channel to 2K and see where we just keep on rolling, and smash the like button and all that other nonsense. And we will catch you guys on the next one. The next one will be the Sunday morning weekend review. And I am planning on getting a live stream back up and running. I was hiking most of this week, so wasn't able to do it last week. I had something come up the week before. So I have a live stream. We will do one, do like a whole Q&A thing for like an hour or whatever. Just hang out with chat, knock it out. But that's all I got for you guys today. Catch you guys on Sunday morning, and peace.